All right. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of our podcast Poetalk. This is going to be the Legacy Season Episode 3 with Moasie and Blasting Cap. Thanks for joining me, guys. Moasie, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick for the viewers that may not know who you are.
All right, sounds good. So my name is Moasie. I've been a software project manager for the last 11-ish kind of years, I guess. It's my birthday in about 5 hours. So wish me
Cheers.
happy birthday. I'm
Cheers. Happy
turning
birthdays.
21.
Cheer
Yeah,
me. Cheers me. You're the only one with a
yeah.
drink.
Happy
Cheers.
birthday.
Oh, there you
Happy
go.
birthday, man.
Yeah, yeah. Turning 21. No, I'm turning 34. I'm an old man.
34.
Yeah,
You might
old
be the
man
oldest
from
here.
POV.
I'm only 28.
Yes. So I first started streaming, I guess it was about 10 months ago, last summer. So it was an interesting story. My company at the time I was with for about 3 years, and there was 150 of us. And one fateful morning, they called 70 of us into a room together, and we all got laid off. So they basically came in and said, "We're out of money. Here's your severance. Good luck."
Ouch.
So I basically had a few months off during the summer, and that's when I was like, yeah, you know what? Might as well try the whole streaming thing, because I think, like most people, I thought it'd be kind of cool to try out.
Yeah.
So did that, and then started a new job about 6 months ago. So I haven't been streaming too much since then, but with the new Legacy League, I'm hoping to start streaming quite a bit more. So that's it.
Awesome. And Blasting Cap, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yep, I'm Blasting Cap. I'm predominantly a soft core player. I play hardcore temp leagues, but I started streaming about a year and a half ago. Actually, wasn't going to take it seriously. I started streaming for Uber Series services back in Standard, where if you didn't have a stream, you didn't get anybody doing your service because you couldn't trust them. QT's like 175x. So I started streaming just with music, no mic, and a lot of people started tuning in, like 10, 20, 30. I'm like, So got my start doing that, actually, doing service streams, and then it just grew into a full-fledged, almost like full-time stream, kind of. But I'm the guy behind like Signal Shot and Lawnmower BV. I like making kind of expensive builds that people can kind of aspire towards. They're not cheap, but they keep you grinding for like an end game super build. So I enjoy really kind of doing that. And yeah, that's basically me in a nutshell. I'm playing Legacy Hardcore right now, but keep dying.
You said you normally predominantly play softcore?
I do both. So once the temp league starts to die out, like 2.5 months in, when it really starts to die out a little bit.
You mean 2.5 weeks?
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
But yeah, I'll hop back over in Standard where I have a whole bunch of money, and I'll just make I'll try to make some cool builds over there. But I like playing Legacy, or excuse me, Temp Hardcores for the challenge, and it's kind of the best of both worlds type of deal. So,
gotcha.
But yeah.
All right, and you guys already know who we are. We're not going to go ahead and introduce ourselves. So the first topic today is going to be on making currency early in the league. There's a lot of cool different views that we'll have here because we've got two people that play on hardcore and two people that play on softcore. So I think we'll have a lot of diversity between what we have. So when we talk about it, we'll just make sure that we say whether this is softcore or hardcore related. So Moasie, you got a headhunter within like what, the first week, or was it within the second week?
It's about a week and a half. I
How did
guess.
you accomplish that? And how much did you
Yeah,
spend?
so-
This is on hardcore,
well,
by the way.
Yeah. So the big thing on hardcore, and I mean, we may touch on it a little bit later on in more detail, but so many people are anti-chaos recipe, and I just laugh at them because on hardcore, it's a little bit different than softcore. Exalts start off around 1 to 15 or 1 to 20 chaos. So when you're doing a fast clear speed build, you can put together a chaos recipe so quickly. So in order to make an exalt, you can passively make an exalt in less than an hour of just grinding.
Yep.
So if you do a 10 to 12 hour session, that's 12 exalt just with the chaos recipe. And that's not counting all of the other loot that you get. So I was able to accumulate quite a bit of chaos just from doing that. Also with prophecy grinding, which we'll get to in just a moment. Yeah, I ended up throwing an offer of 49 Exalt out there for someone who had a Headhunter up for 70. And it looked like they had just ripped because they were on a low level character, and they said, yeah, sure. So I picked it up for 49, and yeah, it's been helping me clear and gain even more currency. So I just bought my second 6 link this morning. So.
Nice. And the second signalings for your
Nice.
off your weapon swap. What build are you playing?
Yeah, for my single target. Yeah, so I'm playing Explosive Arrow. So I'm playing Champion right now, so up to 11.5k HP,
Hmm.
and definitely pretty
That's it?
tanky. So, the
Wait,
higher.
your energy shield, right?
No, it's the red stuff, not the blue stuff. Yeah, so basically with Champion, the higher your HP pool, the more effective Fortify is. So you're getting more bang for your buck with Fortify. So, I mean, my 11.5k HP is really closer to like 14 or 15,000 effective health.
That makes a lot of sense. And blasting, what how have you been doing with currency? Have you been farming it up?
Yeah, so I started day one. Like, you have to start day one. Like, the minute that league opens, you gotta grind. You gotta set like everything else aside, like in real life, to really, capitalize. And so yeah, what I did is I got the Dried Lake really, really quick, and I started leveling the meta gems, which is like BV, Blade Flurry, and I was able to flip those relatively quick. And
Okay.
then I started going to getting my prophecies, and I got lucky with a couple of them. I got the Death's Opus prophecy twice.
Didn't
So I was
those
very
sell for
fortunate
like
with that.
what did those sell for on hardcore? Because on softcore they were
Um,
like 3x a piece.
They were selling for 32C at the beginning of the league, like day 2.
It's like
so
an
I
X and a
made-
half.
Yeah, pretty much. And as Moasie said, and I think he's absolutely 100% correct here, is the chaos recipe is crucial, especially in hardcore, because an exalt is like 15, 20C a couple days in, so
Yeah.
every chaos matters. So that's basically what I've been doing is prophecy grinding, and then dry lake farming, and flipping gems, and all that good stuff.
What build are you playing this league? Or what was your starter build?
So my starting build was not a recommended thing, but I started as a life-based bow character, and without any twink gear, no currency. It was challenging to say the least. I don't recommend doing it. I got to level 90 on that, and then I walked into a Barrows map, and my game crashed, and I logged into standard. So that was fun. And then I just
What a way to
ripped
start.
yesterday famously on that was fun. I ripped famously yesterday on my my Marauder Earthquake guy to a trap, because I'm just bad. So now I'm rolling a top secret build after tonight. I'm not going to really announce it just yet, but I want to test it first. But
I
was
saw
running an
that
EQ
on
and a
the
bow character.
Reddits.
you
The
did.
Reddits posted that little rip that you had.
Yeah.
You saw it, but you really didn't.
I didn't really see it, man.
Yeah, he was in like one of the trap gauntlets, and he was like, "I think I see it. I think I see it." And he starts running through the traps, and he's like, "I don't see it. I'm dead. I'm dead." And he died.
I was like, oh, I'm dead.
It was
Yeah,
it was pretty good.
Yeah, at least
To the
but the thing is, the thing is, I'm happy with my own rip. Like, it was my own stupidity that caused the rip, not a game crash. So I'm okay with it. And
Yeah,
fine.
I used to play hardcore a couple leagues ago. I played 4 leagues total of hardcore, and most of my deaths were dumb. They were never. I've been lucky. I've avoided the lag deaths and all that. I've avoided the stuff that wasn't my fault, but the stuff that was my fault was the dumb things, like a flicker striker that I accidentally hit my weapon swap button because I was using blood rage, so I was weapon swapping back and forth between to turn on and off blood rage. It worked really, really well, and I did that like up to level 90. So like it wasn't something that I wasn't accustomed to. I was muscle memoried and everything, but it was on my mouse. I bumped it in the middle of a flicker strike. It swapped weapons on me, and it was using the Edge of Madness, I think is what it was. And I was like attacking an Essence Mob, and I'm like, what the hell? This guy's so tanky, but I was still able to kill him, which was interesting. So I killed him, and then I flickered to the next pack, and I didn't realize that I was still without my shield because I was energy shield. I was running around with like 5,000 energy shield. So as I started flickering around in the next pack, doing no damage, wondering what the hell's going on, a bunch of Devourers came up and like one-shot me, and I swapped back. I swapped back as I died. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I just died to weapon swap. But dumb deaths like that, I didn't like that.
Usually, when I play hardcore, I usually die, just period. So I just play softcore.
He just plays softcore. I mean, I'm playing softcore this league. Me and Poetalk are playing softcore. The way I started my currency,
I have to.
early on in the league, was I got the Uber Lab. And we'll be talking a bit more about that later on, but essentially I got to Uber Lab as soon as possible, and I just farmed it like crazy and got lots of money. I highly recommend that.
I was being Paleo's bitch boy at the start of this league, so
You were?
a little bit.
You were supposed to be, but you didn't.
I broke my hand.
You,
Technically.
you said you were going to, and then I never. I mean,
I tried, man. I got you those Quicksilver flasks as quick as I could, man.
he did. That is true. So I had logged in. We had grouped as a team. We had like 5 people in a party, and we were playing. We all had our goals, our not our goals, our roles. And I had logged in probably about 15 minutes before the game started, and I was at like position 30,000 in the queue, and everybody else was at like 8,000. So they all got in way before I did. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, they're all running ahead. They're like level 5 when I get to level 1, or when I finally log into the game. So I have to play catch up. And I didn't catch up to them until like level 22. And Polab was like, I'm gonna get you a Quicksilver. He wasn't part of like the running team. He was just gonna help us like do trading and stuff like that, as he called it, the quote unquote bitch boy. I like to call them helpers, or the help, you know. Stinky up. But yeah, so I mean, it worked out really well. We eventually got there, and you know, it was good stuff. All right.
Just touching on Blasting Cap's point as well. So in both hardcore and softcore, there's a huge economic gain as well for just being at endgame as fast as possible. So ripping early on the first day or two is pretty painful. I actually experienced that this league. I got up to level 80 in the first day, and I think I had a 3-hour sleep the night before, so I was kind of tired. So ended up ripping to an Alira Detonate Dead once again.
Oh,
So that was a pretty rough first day start. So then I just went back to bed and just had refresh sleep, and then started over again, and haven't died since. So that's good. But that kind of ties into our next topic for prophecy grinding. And that's also something that you benefit from immensely. If you can get to it early on in the league, that's when things are worth more money. So if you can cycle through and get things like Belly of the Beast go for quite a bit more on the first few days, as people are looking for life substitutes to get their HP up so they don't die and go through what I did. So the faster you can do that, the much better off you are. One thing I've noticed with this league compared to previous leagues is the price of silver coins was super cheap. I think a league or so ago, they were going for 5 coins for 1 chaos. And even then, I thought it was worth it. This league, I think it's anywhere from 10 to 14 coins per 1 chaos. So it costs half as much this league. And if you can get in on that action right away, you make so much money. And that's actually how I funded my initial gear. Like, that's how I paid for my Combs Heart, my 5-link Quill Rain, all that kind of stuff to get going. In the first, basically, as soon as I got to endgame, I just spammed Prophecy nonstop. And I ended up getting 4 5-link Prophecies. I had 2 Astromantises, 3 Tabulas. I got 4 Bellies back when they were actually worth something. I had 2 Death's Opuses, and the list goes on. And that's all I did for a day straight after I got to endgame, was just spam Prophecies. And that let me buy everything, like even Devotos when they were more expensive. And that just kind of blasted off my build for the rest of the season.
Was that a pun?
Was it a pun?
Was that a pun?
You know,
An unintended pun. Okay.
Yeah.
I was really
Well done,
hoping that
man.
was intended to get Blasting to start talking about his experiences with prophecies. I was like, this is perfect. Segue right in there with the blasted comment. I love it.
Moasie's a pro, man. Moasie's a pro. No, all right, were you done, Moasie, about that? Because there's something I wanted to touch on, is because I think he's absolutely right with the silver coins and the prophecy spamming. It's really, really good because, like I said, I got 2 Death's Opus prophecies in the same day and sold them for 60 chaos combined, right? And they went instantly. I was able to fund, my Dry Lake farmer into maps, right? My bow character, he was kind of squishy, and boom, sold those 2 at 60 chaos, was able to upgrade, went great. And then, I just kept spamming prophecies left and right, and I finally got, the series, the Queen's something, I think it was the Queen's
Vaults.
Yes. Those go by really quick because the Ziri farmers, they want to chain those, they could just keep chaining the Ziris if they have that prophecy. So I kept going for that, and I was lucky to get a couple of them. But anyways, I think prophecy is an amazing way, especially at the league start, to fund your build and get that advantage over everybody else. It's a great way of doing things. I really like it.
Well, I have a question about that because I've tried doing it, but I get so burnt out. Like just trying to spam all these prophecies really quick. Like, do you have any like tips or tricks or anything to like help people like actually do that? besides just hey, just. do
So
some
you're talking
prophecies.
just to get burnt? Are you talking about getting burnt out in PoE in general, or
Well,
just getting
No,
burnt out?
no.
just the prophecies here, because I get burnt out just trying to do a bunch of prophecies, because I gotta go way across the entire game.
Right,
to
right,
go
right.
burn this prophecy off, or I don't want to spend 8 coins on this thing, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't
so
want to do that.
See, that's where the silver coins being cheap comes in, because you can just seal those up and be like, all right, coins are like 16 to 1C or something like that. And because you've been getting lucky or you've just been grinding prophecies, you're going to have a good amount of currency to your name by that point. So you start to seal them off if they're really crappy. If you're just like, I can't be bothered with this, you seal it off and just be done with it and just try again.
So
That's
do you
how I personally
do you
did it.
seal off everything that you don't want to do, or do you do? Are there specific ones that you
No.
do to get rid of quickly? Like that's kind of what, like what kind of tips there? Because I mean, I know that like there are certain ones that if you don't want to do like the chains, like the Northern Forest, you can go there. It procs it, and once it's procced, it's removed, and you can just go back to your hideout or whatever, right? I mean that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'll let Moasie handle this one.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a few things you can do. So if you're getting burnt out of just doing prophecies nonstop, I mean, you're not being forced to do that. So do it in moderation. Do it until you're done, and switch it up. Go do a few maps, and then go back to the prophecies. And you don't have to go to prophecies 24/7. So I kind of did a little bit of both. So if I had some prophecies that would spawn only in maps, then I'd go do a few maps, get those done, and then I'd go back to the prophecy grind. So I think that helped even it out for me personally, but everyone's going to be a little bit different. In terms of what you can and can't do, I think there was a guide posted recently on PoE Reddit not that long ago. So there are resources out there that you can take a look at. But I mean, as Blasting said, you pretty much just go zone to zone, get the bad prophecies to proc immediately. All you have to do is click on a waypoint and then go back to Navali and get a new prophecy, and hope you see the good ones pop up, and then link it to guild and have everyone hate you. So that's all there to it.
Exactly.
Now I'm wondering, do you guys think it'd be a good idea to say, for instance, the ones that are procking in maps? Would it be worth it, instead of sealing them, to toss maps into the map device, hit activate, and if it goes away, it's done. You don't even have to do the map. Like use like tier 1s and 2s, and just kind of burn them that way. Maybe.
Yep, I've done that as well.
Okay.
I did that when I was quote unquote poor. When I did a bunch of money to steal these up, or just couldn't be bothered. I was like, all right, just low level maps.
Because if anything, trying to buy coins is somewhat of a hassle as it is.
Have y'all ever found like any of the really high tier prophecies?
6 link and trash to treasure, I have not. No.
Never.
What's your
The
most
best I got
one?
is Death Soap. This one.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the best one I got.
Yeah, I think they said the rate when Prophecy League itself, I think they released the stats on how many trash to treasures were actually uncovered, and I think it was like in the single digits. I don't even think it was double digits. So it's that rare.
Doesn't surprise me, because I've never seen one of like the hundreds and hundreds of prophecies I've done. I've never seen one.
Yeah.
Apparently, Faded Connections hasn't been found in hardcore yet. It's not on the list of PoeNinja, and PoeNinja pulls all their information from
No,
from
it
PoE
has
Trade.
been, because I remember the first week I went and searched online and offline, and I saw, I think there was 3 up at that time.
Was it not listed as a price?
Ah,
Because it's
that I'm
not
not
even
sure.
hardcore
But
legacy.
I
It's not
I
even.
did see it,
Huh.
Well, see, it's weird because sometimes it'll be there for a second or
Or
whatever.
maybe it just hasn't been there in the last 7 days. I don't know. I don't know if this holds data longer than 7 days.
Yeah.
On the currency, it will.
Yeah. Well, one last note, I guess, on the currency grinding as well. So part of it too, and I guess this is kind of where being a project manager comes in, but a big thing you can do to increase your wealth is just a simple risk mitigation. So I've had it in past leagues where my main character ripped, and I had about 900 fusing worth of currency. And it's late at night, and you're just like going full tilt, and you're like, I'm going to make a 6 link for my next build no matter what. So you end up throwing all of your fusing into something to try to 6 link it. You don't get a 6 link. You wake up the next day, and you went from having a high level character with really good gear and all of this currency to being back at square one. So just knowing when to throw in the towel, I think goes a long way.
I've never done that.
Oh man, yeah, it's quite the experience.
Last league, I put 2,700 fuses into a perfect form, and it finally fused. I was just like, I have like so much currency. I'm just gonna keep buying fuse. It'll link.
But you were in softcore.
Yeah.
I made the mistake. So between leagues, there's nothing to do, right? And I still wanted to play PoE, so I'm streaming it, and we got a Shabs drop, and they're like, link it and vol it, link it and vol it. I'm like, all right, guys, sure. So I finally 6-socketed it in like, I don't know, it was like 50 jewelers. I was like, okay, cool. 2,142 fuses later. 2,142 fuses later. I could have reached it by then. But yeah, and of course it was on stream, so they're like, keep going. So I had to keep buying fuses, buying fuses.
Yeah,
I finally got a 6-linked, and we vaulted it, and I got nothing. It was like mana multiplier or something. Like, oh god.
It would have been much better if it bricked.
Yeah, that would have been just fitting. Yeah.
The ultimate like shit on chest.
Absolutely.
Mm.
I actually did that right before this league on standard, and I spent 2,700 fusing on a disfavor, and it never linked, and I just gave up on it. Yeah.
So, I feel your pain, man. I feel your pain.
At least mine finally linked. God, it was such a celebration when that thing finally linked. I was so tilted. Every single chaos, exalt, every piece of everything I had, I kept just throwing it, fusings at it constantly. It was just,
yeah.
Great chess piece, though. Very underrated.
That goes back to, like, again, the risk mitigation. Like this league, I refuse to try to 6-link something myself until I have all of my own basic gear together. I mean, I bought both of my 6-links. I bought my first 6-link Quill Rain early on, and I got it for 190 chaos. And I just picked up my second one this morning for 250. So obviously the price goes up as the weeks go by. But I mean, that's a hell of a lot cheaper than trying to 6-link myself. So I mean, for 250 chaos, that's 750 fusing. So you're much better off just realizing when you should buy and when you should try to link yourself.
Absolutely. Just to touch base on that, I wanted an astral plate for a beefy marauder that I just died on, actually. Sad times. But Celestial Justicar was a very good option because you could get them for like 30 or 40 chaos a piece, and it was much cheaper if you kind of weighed out the the RNG between 6-linking, just getting the 6-link from the divination card to actually self-linking. It was just a better overall safe bet. So.
I was gonna say I spent 250 fuses and I didn't even get a 5-link. I was like, okay, 5-link and I'm happy. 6-link, it's gold. Nothing.
Yeah, sometimes I get really lucky. Like, for instance, this league, I bought a Cosprey's Will on day, it was like, I guess we'll consider day 1.5 because I was still awake. And I was just like, all right, I just want to get a 5-link so I can start farming Uber Lab, no big deal. So I bought it. I started like fusing it real slowly, and then it 6-linked at 17 fuse. And I was like, oh, okay. 17 fuse for a 6-link, sounds good. But that actually leads us right into our next topic, lab farming. So I'll start it off. Me and Polab, we're part of a team. Polab being the main head of PeeWeeLab.com, and this is the website where you can go and get all the standard layouts for your daily labyrinths, and these things are posted every single day. Within probably 45 minutes to an hour of every single day, it's going to be posted. These 4 posts on here, and I've got the thing up at the top. Or in the middle, I mean. And then up at the top, we actually have a somewhat of a partnership, I guess you'd say. We did 2 videos on Lifting Nerd Bros YouTube channel, and they're very good, like an introductory guide and a little bit more in depth of like some tips and tricks on how to navigate the lab, how to read the website, like all that kind of information that's in those 2 YouTube videos that we did with lifting, and then also the website's great to use as well. So it's just a great resource.
Yeah, I use that thing every single day when I was doing PoE lab running, or the lab runner on stream. I did like a challenge for 7 days to make a certain amount of currency, and I use that site every single day. It's been a huge godsend.
Nice. Do you guys have a favorite build that y'all use for lab? No, Moasie has a nice little something.
Yeah. Well, I first started lab. I think I was one of the first people to actually start Uber lab farming back in the day. So Before Uber Lab came out, they had announced the Juggernaut and all of the OP like max endurance charges every single time you used Enduring
Oh,
Craft,
Legacy
all
Juggernaut.
that kind of stuff. So even before the league started, I theory crafted with my chat how to make an immortal character. So it's something I like to do every now and then on my channel. Like the first time I started streaming, I had theory crafted with my chat, and we put together a 936% move speed character. So this was kind of like the next iteration, I guess, of going to the extreme. So it was actually day 2, maybe 2.5, when I was starting to farm Uber Lab, back when you could do like 6 to 7 key runs all the time, and before they had nerfed all the chests. So that made me so much currency. So that's actually what led to my my first ever hardcore headhunter with all of the doctor cards that I bought from the Prophet.
Were you using that prophecy that gave you the extra key?
Oh yeah, like every single time.
Yeah. I have
like-
2 in standard just sitting there like, I love these.
What are they worth in
Oh.
standard?
It was crazy.
I
Like
had no idea.
5C, something like that.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Twice enchanted. Yeah.
No. The
Oh,
extra
no,
treasure
no,
key.
Yeah. Never
you
mind
could
that.
go in with, I think, with the group of 6 people and have all the keys drop for everybody, if I'm not mistaken.
I forgot what it was called.
Well, and the way it works too, because you have the chance of getting the 2 additional keys from a chest. So the more chests you open, your chance of getting that exponentially go up, right? So it's even more lucrative than it sounds like. You're like, oh, it's just 1 extra key. But when you go from 6 to 7 chests being opened, more often than not, you're going to find that extra chest with 2 additional keys, and you're going to have almost all the chests open. And back before the drops got nerfed, that was pretty lucrative.
Now,
Hell yeah.
Blasting, you might know this because you're somewhat in tune with the standard market. Why is Hidden Reinforcements 5 exalts on standard?
That I have no idea. That is some. I'm really good with Steel. So if you need standard economy questions, let me know, because I play both. You know, it's I love standard. Don't get me wrong, I love it. So, but I don't know why that is so expensive.
I'm just looking at it, I'm like, okay, you will be ambushed by several enemies upon slaying a foe. 5x.
There's something.
There's
something's
something
going
they
on there.
yeah,
We don't
something's
know.
fishy
How
about
many,
that.
how many are on the market, though? Did you go
Uh,
look at that? Because there could just be like 2 on the market or something ridiculous.
But so I'll touch on my lab runner if you want, guys, because I spent a lot of time doing lab running last league about a month and a half ago, something like that. So
It's just
I get
bugged.
asked a lot. I'm sure Moasie can relate to this. Like, I don't have any money. How do I get rich? Or how do, like, because Moasie has a headhunter. I'm sure he gets asked, like, how'd you get a headhunter? How'd you do it? How'd you get your money? I get asked that a lot, right? And so the best way I think to make currency right now, one of the best, is Uber lab running, right? I think it's super profitable. Beginning of the league, middle of the league, it doesn't matter. And so what I did is I made a budget-oriented lab runner, which is mainly softcore oriented because it's got low HP, but it's got high evasion. It's basically Pajama Monster's lab runner tweaked for 2.6 or
called a
2.5
pajama
actually.
monster?
I think that's what his name was.
Yeah, pajama.
Oh,
monster.
that's the person. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Sorry, carry on.
his build, and
Okay.
he never updated his guide, so we took it and we kind of, maintained it and upgraded it and stuff like that. And it's like the 800 movement speed, poison BV, just monster. It just zooms through labs, and usually the top couple people on the ladders and temp leagues and standard use this build. And so it doesn't cost much. And what I did is I did a challenge. I was like, I'll make 100x in a week in standard economy, which is kind of tough to do. And we easily we smashed that goal. So it just kind of proves that Uber Lab is super good, especially if you have a fast running build. But hardcore is a different story. I tried running it in hardcore, it didn't end up too well. I'll let Moasie handle that one. I used the hardcore Uber Lab runner, but in softcore, I can handle it pretty well, and I think Uber Lab's amazing. So, but anyways.
Yeah, this league I started off with a Slayer EQ Juggernaut, and it's very similar to Norse's build last league that he started with, and he got a day 1 or 2 disfavor. Mine was day 3 disfavor, so I was shortly right behind him in this league. Yeah, it's super strong, especially with the Carnage Heart amulet. The way it got buffed, it's like the Slayer's Dream amulet. It's got so much stuff on it, especially when you're using a Cosper's Will that requires like 180 something dexterity. When you're using a Devoto's and the Carnage Heart, it actually fixes a lot of the stats that you need. Same thing with intellect requirements as well. Beautiful amulet, Carnage Heart, so good. I actually thought it was going to be worth a lot more than it is now this league, but it must be very common, which is fine. It's a great amulet. But yeah, I mean, I was able to get Cosper's on day 2, Disfavor on day 3. I have the Devoto's Earthquake enchant. I think we waited quite a while because we had bought a pair of Skyforce, then a second pair of Skyforce for the other 2 teammates that we had, just so they can farm like Shaper and stuff like that. But yeah, for endgame farming, like I got really lucky. I got the Discharge enchant twice in a row on Hebrus's.
Whoa.
Like the cannot consume, and then the third one was Discharge Radius, which is pretty much nothing now because they nerfed area. But I mean, it did sell. I mean, both the Discharge ones, they sold for like 3x a piece. Interestingly enough, the market was saying they should go for 6 or 7, but I had no one interested until it got to 3. Like, I had it up for days, and nothing was happening. I'm like, I just need to move these at this point. I don't really care what the hell they sell for. Finally sold them both for 3x, and I was pretty happy about that. But yeah, we're having a good time. Legacy, Taste of Fate, and stuff like that. It's really fun.
I can't believe you landed 2 in a row like that. It's insane. Because I remember I would
2
run.
in a row, yeah.
I run like 30 or 40 labs back to back on stream, and I'd get like totem resistance, or
that's a good one.
Yeah. I'll get like ice crash radius, or I'm like, wow, goddamn, no. It's terrible enchant. Searing bond and all this. I'm like, oh well.
I was gonna say, has anybody here actually got one of the jewels from being on top of the leaderboard for lab?
I never have, no.
I've bought them, but no, I never won them.
No. I've been second a bunch of times, but I never got first.
I was first on day 1, all the way up until an hour before the reset, and the motherfuckers with the BV crazy fast builds beat me. I was so pissed. I'm like, I'm gonna get day 1. I'm gonna win. Oh, I was so angry. I was so
I've done
mad.
that several times.
I took like a screenshot. I'm like, guys, look, I'm first. Guys, look.
Yeah. It seems that I was actually talking to a few guildies yesterday about this, but it seems right now on hardcore there's not that many people running Uber Lab, and I'm not sure if that's because it's so lucrative that with how much money you can make with the current league stones. But I mean, there's not. I think there was the first explosive arrow helmet enchant on a Devoto's today since like the league start, and he has it up for like 400 chaos just because
he does.
Season 1, right?
Because he's the only one.
Yeah. So I mean, like right now, if you want to make some cash, now's a good time to try your hand at running lab. And the last time I did lab running was last league. I remade my Immortal Jug, but that was after the nerf, so you don't get max endurance charges all the time. So I kind of tweaked it a bit, and what I did was instead of having Immortal Call Up all the time, I just made it so that you were at max endurance charges all the time. So I still want Juggernaut, and with max endurance charges up, I think I was up to 10,000 life with 2,200 life regen a second. So I was still able to pretty well face tank I0 through most of the phases. You had to be careful still with some of the elemental phases.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it was pretty solid. And then I ended up dying to a breach with a random random pack that had Fizz Reflect, it had a Nullifier, and it had Poison. So
sounds
the
fun.
first I'd never known before, but apparently Nullifier gets rid of all your endurance charges.
Yeah, it eats them all.
So yeah,
it eats all buffs. It even removes flasks.
I had no idea before, really? And like that was something new I learned. So,
what a way to learn.
Oh, I know. So I went from having 2,200 life regen a second to like 500 life regen. I just smashed like a massive pack with Fizz Reflect, and then I was like poisoned with not much chaos res, and the Immortal Jug was immortal.
No longer immortal.
It's Fizz Reflect. I'm immortal.
Yeah, interestingly enough, with the cast when damage taken comment, I follow that as well. On my Slayer, I have 7 endurance charges. I don't have cast when damage taken anymore. I found that like when you're doing Azaro, a lot of times when you're doing lab in general, a lot of times when you're against Argus or whatever, when you have the 7 endurance charges, you're really, really tanky. And then when cast when damage taken procs, sure, you're immortal for 2 to 3 seconds, but after that falls, it feels really squishy. As a Slayer at least. So I felt like I just removed the cast and damage taken. I'd rather have 7 endurance charges up the entire time. With the amount of leech that you get with Fortify, you're essentially immortal. I've died once to a one-shot in lab, but that was because it was like double damage phase, double elemental. He probably crit me. I don't think I had my flasks up. It was bad. But I went and got a Legacy Taste of Fate, and that's never happened since.
Nice. Do you guys think that it's profitable to farm lab the entire league?
Yes.
And Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So would you do it the whole league and just do nothing but that and just?
If I wasn't such a baddie in hardcore running these things, then yes, absolutely. So just a quick tip, like I know Moasie just recommended, and I personally recommend this as well, to run labs, Uber labs. It's really profitable throughout the entire league. But make sure you've had practice, especially with the Uber lab trials, because they can catch you really quickly. It happened to me. I jumped in, I hit a trigger, I got hit by darts, and I panicked and I died like really quickly. It was my own fault, but I died. And so this can happen to anybody if you're kind of inexperienced with certain trap layouts. So get some practice in maybe in softcore, and I'm talking just the Uber lab trials, because they can really kind of bite you in the rear end. Like it's trust me on this. So just a little heads up, if you want to do this, I highly recommend it, but make sure you get a little bit of practice in there and get, so you don't panic. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Like I did, and so.
Yeah,
But yes.
you can also do what I do, blasting, and pretty much anytime I have to do trials, what I do, since I typically only play life builds, anytime I have to do trials, I respec my entire tree until I have every single life regen node on the tree before I go and do any of the trials. So you can almost AFK and not worry about dying. So
That's clever.
That's
I wish I knew
extreme.
this information
I guess on
yesterday.
hardcore it makes a lot of sense.
yeah, so that's like an added bonus of going life early on the left-hand side of the tree. You can get through the trials and you can get through your ascendancies pretty safely.
Or if you want to do it as a energy shield based character, you just go occultist. Take a little bit of damage back out of the traps. Wait till you have your recharge started, and then you just run through everything, and you know you can't die. Or you use soul strike combination with.
Also, you can use the marble amulet, or the talisman with the life regen as the implicit and stuff like that. So
Ooh,
Yeah, a
now
bunch
that
of
we have
life
access
regen.
to talismans.
Yeah.
It's like 2%, I believe.
yeah, 2%. That's a good amount, man. That's quite nice to have.
What
Yeah, on
is
top
the,
of everything you have.
The marble's like what, 1.4?
1.6. Yeah, I'm using a marble
That's
right
the
now.
base,
and I'm
yeah. And you can get more flat on the actual amulet itself. And the last thing is, do you guys have any tips or tricks that you guys do in the lab that somebody may not know?
up
I
into
mean, we
the
just
right.
we just kind of talked about a lot of the stuff.
Yeah,
but
up and to the right.
that is actually a very, very good tip. I'll pull up one of the layouts, and you guys will probably notice, and you guys might not know how to read the lab, and I guess I can kind of go over that real quick too. A lot of people don't know how to read our
blue
layout.
lines?
They understand like okay the phases, they understand like everything else, but they don't understand what the little dots and the lines mean. I didn't either, so don't feel bad. There's a legend on the left that kind of explains everything. We're going to try to work on like kind of making it a little bit easier to read, but we're trying to figure out the best way to do that. But essentially, the circles are where the doors are relative to the room. So if you go to the first room, for instance, in this example, there's 3 doors that exit the first room. And the top left, this circle right here, this top left circle is where the door is that leads to room 2. So the circles are the doors, and the lines lead to what room it goes to, if that makes sense. As far as the top right, it's about like 80% of the time to go to the top right. As you notice, 3 top right goes to trial, 4 top right goes to trial, 5 top right goes to trial, 6. I mean, this is always pretty much if you want to get out of lab, follow the top right, and if it isn't top right, go top left. And you're there. It's always at the far ends, the far opposites of the area. Sometimes it's in the middle, if it's in the tri-room layout. But yeah, top right's a very good tip.
But my one trick, I know it's kind of common for most of us, but some people don't know this, especially on stream when I'm doing these. So if you see annex and you don't have to get a golden key, don't go in that room because it's not the way to go. If you see the suffix annex
or enclosure.
Enclosure, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be a dead end. You're going to be wasting your time, basically, if you don't want to go in there. So.
Yep. Yeah, annex and enclosure are the dead ends that you don't have. As long as it's not a gold key, you don't have to go into those rooms. So if you see those, you can just instantly turn around and go a different way.
And like I said, life regen is really, really amazing, and it's on a life-based build. It's really amazing, and high armor. So bring like a basalt, like a granite or something like that. Just kind of build yourself defensive for the traps areas. Yeah, only real tips and tricks I have besides up and to the right. It really is the best tip you
It's a good one, man. It's a really good one.
Enfeeble. A lot of people just
That's
don't
true.
know about that.
Also,
Use the enfeeble curse. Yeah.
Gershi asked if we buy our offerings. I initially don't. I usually just run really low level maps to get the labs, the trials done and over with, and then I'll just try to get the offerings that way. And then once my currency starts to grow comfortably, I'll just buy them. It's much easier. You can sustain quite easily like that.
Yeah, what I did is in the beginning I was just buying them because they were 2 chaos. So why not? It is impossible to lose money on 2 chaos and Uber run. Literally impossible. You cannot lose money. It's just, you can't happen. Even at 3 to 4
So,
chaos per key,
what if you just keep dying?
can't. Well,
Just-
fair enough. As long as you complete the lab and open the chest at the end with keys, it's impossible to lose money. But if you walk in and you die, stop buying keys and figure out why you're dying. And actually, yeah, the lifting nerd bro videos that we did, there's a lot of tricks and tips in there. I highly recommend watching it. It's very good. I think it came out really well. Yeah, our next one, League Stones. League Stones.
Oh man, League Stones, those are so crazy this league. Do you guys actually like the concept of them? I mean, this is kind of like a whole new spin on a flashback, basically. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I totally do. It's it does add more micromanaging, which may be I guess intimidating to some new players. And it is a lot of extra stuff, a lot of extra clutter that you have to kind of sort through and deal with. But I do like the concept, and being able to pick your favorite leagues is a cool idea. Although it seems, at least for me at this point, all I'm doing is picking the most overpowered ones for leveling. So I'm going for 100 again in this league. So I'm pretty much just spamming every single time Breach and Bloodlines to get that extra monster density in the maps. And that kind of adds to another way I've been making money is for the last few levels, I've been using a Bisco's Collar, that crazy new Magic Find neck, and running Breach and Bloodlines. And I mean, every breach is like netting me at least like 5 chaos. Like, it's pretty ridiculous. So I mean, every breach is like a quarter of an exalt, so that adds up very quickly. So that's been one kind of way I've been using it.
Magic Find is back, boys.
Yeah,
It's definitely back.
It really actually is. Yeah.
It's actually the strongest it's probably ever been because we have access to everything.
Pretty much.
Increased quantity gem. You've got the legacy Wind Ripper, legacy gold worms. You've got the Brandis belt. You've got the Bisco's collar. You've got the rings. What are those rings called?
Venters.
Yeah, Venter's Gambles. The Demon's Touches. Like, you literally can kit like your entire character out in Magic Find gear and just farm Dried Lake and probably be rich. Like, it's insane.
But yeah, what I think about the League Stones is I absolutely love it. I think there's a quality of life issue I wish they did is just add the League Stones into your, like, above your flasks. So somebody posted on Reddit about this. They did a little mock-up, and it would be so much easier to help the min-maxing, you know? Because half the time you're like, you open up a map and you're like, oh shit, I didn't really refresh my League Stones.
On the bottom left-hand side of your screen, like next to your health bar?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Just have
I like that, yeah. That would be interesting.
Be able to see how many charges you got, and like a little quality of life thing. But
yeah, I like that.
I think this could be a part, and so somebody mentioned this early on in the league, is how it could be tied into standard, right? Now, like, this could really help standard out, because, you know, standard kind of dies out here and there when the new leagues start, but I think this would be cool. They could kind of balance it and give you like 3 or 4 specific League Stones a week, kind of like what they did with Zana mods, but, you know, not as every month. I don't know. I think it could be in a core part of the game if they kind of rebalanced it a little bit and not make it as OP with legacy stuff and this, that, and the other. But I think it would be a great addition to the core part of the game, especially something in standard. Maybe even just make it standard and permanent hardcore specific. I don't know, but I think it adds it freshens things up, especially in the type of like a stale type of, not economy, but stale type of experience, because you miss out a lot by not doing a temp league if you're just playing standard. I love standard, but, you know.
It's true.
So I think that'd be pretty cool. They'd be like, oh, I want to do Nemesis, and you'll have the opportunity to do so in standard, and like just like that. And so,
but not in league though, right? You're saying just standard, so separating that, or not?
I mean,
core game, or
see, that's a tough call, you know, because it's pretty OP to have access to some of these legacy stuff, and the combination of certain stones is really advantageous to make, you know, a lot of money or a lot of XP, like Moasie said. So it might be a little bit too OP. I'm not too sure how they could balance it, but I think it would be pretty cool in a permanent league setting, somehow, some way.
Did you guys hear about the bug recently with the League Stones? Apparently, there was a bug
Yeah.
that you can put in whatever League Stones you wanted. Didn't matter what they were. So the best ones you can get. And there was a bug that allowed you to essentially run them as many times as you want. Never reduces a charge. Never removes a charge when you run them. So if you want to run the Kyula breaches that give splinters guaranteed off of rares, and they guarantee like you get the best Kyula breach, you get the I guess there was a Prandis archive, and then something else. There was like 3 like really lucrative stones that you would buy. Sure, they'd be expensive, but you only needed them once. You buy them once, and then all of a sudden now you have unlimited uses of those stones, and you just consistently run them. Yeah. That's been fixed, by the way. But yeah, that existed apparently for longer than 10 days, is what people were saying.
Weeks.
That's
that-
weeks.
So do you think that affected the economy at all? Because
Yeah.
Of course it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really
I mean,
notice
if
it.
You can just do the 3.
Because it was
Yeah.
fixed on the
League Stones over and
18th, I
over and over
think.
all day.
Did you guys see the Reddit post of how to make money early on in the league? And it was just the bug forums and someone a drill down on the F5 button. So
That's
like, refresh,
not
refresh,
false.
refresh. Yeah.
Yeah, because the bug forums are public knowledge, which I feel like is kind of
Yeah.
weird.
And didn't somebody post this like on March 8th?
Yeah,
like,
that's
in
why I
the
said it
bug
was
forums
more
or
than
something?
10 days. Somebody had posted this, and
Yeah, but didn't people get banned for doing that?
well,
No,
Chris,
I don't think so.
yeah, Chris Wilson. There was a direct post from Chris. He said, I can pull up the post if we want. Do I have the bookmark for it? Oh God, do I not have it bookmarked? Well,
But the
anyway,
thing is
he
that-
essentially
Okay,
said
go ahead.
that the it was known and it was fixed fairly quickly. He said the amount of abuse that is being implied in this thread is not as big as it actually is, and he said that the people that are abusing it will be banned.
Hmm.
Essentially, is what he said.
We'll see.
Yeah, exactly, Moasie. We'll see.
Yeah, but I mean, basically, Sir Crushington made a point in the chat that it seems like there is a huge exploitable bug every league or every other league that kind of comes out. Like I still remember when Masters first came out, there was that massive bug where you could dupe currency, and there was no way for them to track it at all. And I actually stumbled across that one night, but I was like so tired. I was like, oh, I'll have to remember that for the morning. And I woke up and I completely forgot about it. But what it was basically you put a currency item in the guild stash tab, and then you took it out of the tab. And while you were holding it, I think you had to type /hideout, and then it would take you to the hideout, and you would still have the currency item on your mouse, and it would still be in the guild stash tab as well. And you could just duplicate as much as you wanted to. And because currency
Nice.
doesn't have an actual tracking ID to it, there is no way for them to notice if people did that.
Yeah, so I found the post. It says,
Crazy.
this was fixed pretty fast, and the scale of the abuse is significantly less than the threat implies. People are certainly quick to blame the progress of others on exploits. So they're essentially saying they're blaming, just because people are successful doesn't mean that they're using an exploit. He said it wasn't in the patch notes because it was fixed as an invisible server-side hotfix and didn't go through the regular patching process. And he also said, a lot of people are asking for more information about bans. I'm not going to wake people up just to find out. Essentially, it was late in the day, and he's not going to ask the people who ban. He said, rest assured, we ban dozens or hundreds of accounts per day, but don't usually make a big deal about it. It shouldn't have to be the case that we need to scare people into not cheating. So he is saying that abusing a bug is cheating, which, yes, it is. And you can get banned if you were doing it abusively. I would imagine you would have had to be like spam running the shit out of them in order for that to be an issue. I don't know if they could even track it, to be honest. This might just be a cover your own ass type thing, but you know.
The thing is,
That.
I'm glad Chris is come out and said something. This is what he
Yeah.
needs to do, or community Bex should be saying something as well. Community manager. I'm glad they addressed it, right? To get this, get ahead of this. But the thing is, at the end of the day, these people who have done this have affected the economy. Like even if they're banned or not, they have still affected the economy. So, the damage is kind of done already. So if they get banned, okay, that's kind of like okay. I guess that's good, but it's still kind of foobarred the economy a little bit at the start. So this bug has left its mark, is what I'm trying to say. Kind of like Eternal Orbs have left their mark in Standard and Permanent Hardcore. Their mark is always going to be there. It's kind of the same way with this economy now, in my opinion. We don't know the how many people abused it. Chris didn't say, but I'm sure there's a certain amount of people who have abused this to their advantage. So.
And there's a lot of speculation on that, but we could go on for a while. So I'm gonna get us back to the League Stone topic at hand, so I don't take y'all up all night. What are y'all's favorite combinations of League Stones? Because I am seriously just running Piranha's Breach and Essence like a little bitch boy.
Yeah. Can I drop a knowledge bomb?
Sure.
Is that
Let's
okay?
do it. Yeah.
All right.
The Moasie knowledge bomb.
Yeah. So I did this a bit the other day, and then I mean I'm pushing 100, so I'd rather get the XP. But there's one of the League Stones. It's for ambush, and it lets exiles drop 6 linked items. And if you couple that with a few prophecies, then it becomes pretty ridiculous pretty quick. So one of them you can do is Possessed Foe, which basically puts a ghost into every exile, which means they drop a lot more loot, which means they have a higher chance of dropping a 6 socket, which then turns into a 6 link. You can also do Wealthy Exile to help proc that. You can do Monstrous Treasure, where you can spawn the 36 boxes and then just roll additional exile on each of those boxes. So you can make so much money right now if you just take the time to do that. And in the span of like a few maps, I think I had 6 or 7 6 links, and the chests I sold for like 44 chaos each, and then the weapons I actually just sold for divine because I needed the divine. But I haven't really been exploiting it. But I mean, there's so many League Stone combinations like that, and the people who have spent the time to go through and take a look at what each League Stone actually does, and put the time into researching. Again, it's just like how it was with master crafting back before people knew that you could take off, suffixes and all that kind of stuff. The first people to know about it have a huge economic advantage, which is one of the cool things about the game. But I'm just throwing it out there that there are so many combinations like that we may not know about that people are just making bank off of. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up a link here. PewDB had a really nice readout of every League Stone and what every League Stone could have on it, prefix and suffix, and also the chance of them spawning with those prefixes or suffixes. But it doesn't appear that it's working. Oh, there it goes. Okay, there we go.
They had that up like ASAP.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'll link this in chat because this is one of those things that like is pretty badass. And also, Moasie, you had used the word exploit. That's not exploiting. I just want to throw that out there. Oh, you're following every TOS. You're not breaking any TOS. You're not exploiting anything.
I didn't mean it in that sense. I just meant in
right. I just wanted to make sure that like nobody thought that you were like using some kind of game breaking, because we were talking about violating TOS a little bit in the chat. So I just wanted to remove that tie from it. But yeah, I mean, this website, make sure you guys look over this website. It's got, like I said, you can, like me and my team, we looked over this and like we're like, okay, like what can we combine together that makes this badass? And some of the ones that we've came up with, I'll kind of divulge a little bit. So Tempest, using the radiating or shining, either one of these prefixes. This is those the Tempest that give you like 600, like 1200 rarity and like 600 quantity. And then there's also like 2 other. I think there's one that's global on the map and then one that's only in the circles. So using this Tempest one, the amount of drops you get is insane. You combine that with Breach and Beyond, and you just make sure that anything you kill, that either you have the Tempest on you or they have the Tempest on themselves, and you just plow through content like massive. It's wonderful. And it drops so much loot. It to the point where it drops so much loot in the one map that we did. When you held Alt, it was like you were on a Magic Find character. When you held Alt, the screen froze for about 10 to 15 seconds, and then everything loaded in, and you would just run, and like the entire screen was just filled with loot. Even if you were on the highest filter setting from like Neversinks, there was still a lot of loot to identify. We had to have hundreds of Identify scrolls or Wisdom scrolls to actually like identify everything. So that was pretty fun. It was really, really cool. Yeah, this website, somebody asked for the link again. This right here is the link that I use, and this is on just the standard PoE.db. It's a great website. They've got all kinds of cool stuff on it, and it's got every single league stone on there, and you can combine 3 of them and just pick your best.
Yeah.
So blasting, have you used any specific combinations?
You basically have touched on the ones that I've been using.
All right.
So really nothing too much to add. Corrupting Tempest is pretty badass as well.
That's true.
That's the only thing I want to add in there. But everything else, you guys basically have exactly what I'm doing. So
Yeah,
do you
Corrupting
think,
Tempest is cool.
Do you think it should be added to the core game, blasting?
I don't know, man. That's a tough call. I really enjoy it. I'm having a lot of fun this league. This is probably one of the best leagues I've ever done because you get to choose what you want to do. Like all are fun leagues. So I think it's great, but I don't know how they could balance it. You know?
Somebody had commented on my YouTube, one of my YouTube videos that we had talked about League Stones just a little bit. I think it was like the pre-Legacy before it even came out. They had said that it was like a watered-down flashback league. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, no, it's like a better flashback league because you choose what you want. Like, rather than having a bunch of shit that you don't want, you get to choose the 3 that you want. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess. I did like the flashback. Have you guys ever done the flashback leagues? Like the 1 week or the weekend?
Yes.
Those are fucking awesome.
Yes.
Oh, God, they're so fun.
Yeah.
I think one of the funnest times I've ever had.
Cutthroats are pretty fun
I
as
don't
well.
like Cutthroat.
Yeah.
Why not?
I hate PvP and everything.
You don't like sitting by a waypoint and just like absolutely destroying somebody who
No.
teleports in?
Nope.
Aw, come on.
Because then I think it's fun when I do it, but then when I die, I get raged. I just rage.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one, since we're still talking about League Stones and Legacy and stuff, Relics and Reliquary keys.
Okay.
Fun.
So let me get on this one real quick.
Sure. Do you like them?
I think they're too rare. Okay, I think they're too rare. I like them a lot. I've found 2, but apparently I'm quote unquote lucky for finding 2.
I found 6.
Like, I guess they're like okay. Well,
I found 1.
Yeah.
I found them early on in the league, and instead of just risking it, I sold them. I sold both, and I think now once you get, I think it's basically if you don't have any money to your name, sell them. If you have a good amount of money and you're comfortable with your build, then try your luck. But have you guys seen a lot of the Reddit posts with like I've had 62 keys and this is
they're
my
all
loot,
garbage.
and they're all trash.
So bad.
Yeah.
Cool.
The one that was like
So-
60, it was just terrible. He had nothing good.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well,
So anyways, go ahead, Moasie.
Back to mitigating risk, blasting. What you said is, taking a look at the odds of actually getting something. It's almost like using fusing. Like you have a chance of getting a 6 link, but chances are you're not going to get one. So
Exactly.
The risk reward
that's
system.
What I wish I would have done. So I've found 2 as well. So I had a level 80 and a level almost 96 right now, and I found 2 as well. And I've actually went and used them just because I was curious, and I got a Terran Shiver and a Crest of Parandus.
I'm sorry. Don't mean to laugh.
Well, I got the
That's rough.
Ethereal Edge or whatever. I was
Yeah,
like,
Ephemeral Edge.
wow, awesome. I should've sold
I've
this.
gotten somewhat lucky, but for the most part garbage. And the only reason I was lucky was because it was very early on. So I've gotten 2 pairs of gold worms, Crest of Parandus, a Life Sprig, Life Sprig. No, not a Life Sprig, a Springleaf Shield, and 2 Meganorge girdles. But the gold worms were perfect, which was interesting. They sold for a couple X. One was 50-30, well, 55 res, 30 quantity, and then the other one was 49-30. So like the odds of getting those back to back, and then a little side tip: I've gotten 6, and I want to tell you that 5 of them were in Uber Lab. 4 of them of which were off the last chests, the Uber chests, and 1 was just off a random mob in Lab, and then the other one was in a Strand.
Well, that's
So,
all you've been
lab.
playing, though, right?
That's true. I've done over 100
Lab.
Uber Labs, so
Yeah.
I've probably done like
They
120
drop
or
off
30
of,
now.
They drop out of our current Arcanus boxes as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's where I got one of mine. It's actually
That makes a
from
lot
one
of
those.
sense. Yeah, it is a currency item, I believe.
Yeah, and it can be mirrored too. It can drop out of an Arcanist
Ooh.
and be mirrored.
Yeah, somebody got 3 keys out of 1 Arcanist box. I'm like, oh, wow.
I had
are you
2
kidding
keys
me?
drop off.
Saying
I had 2
there's a
keys drop
leak
off of
stone
1.
for Arcanist boxes.
Is there?
Yeah,
Oh,
there totally is. 'Cause
well
they
then
totally
they
use
were probably abusing that with the with the old trick of being able to use as many as they wanted.
Cue
to.
the X-Files music.
So, do you guys have any favorite relics? Favorite relics?
Combs.
Combs, yeah, really. I think the Shabs is pretty cool, but I mean,
Combs sign, you
bonus
mean, right?
energy shields.
The ring's
Yeah,
really
Combs sign,
good.
yeah, exactly.
Hey, by the way, just saying, Comb Sign, the relic version, can be prophesied if you want that life leech instead of life gain on hit.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing it out there.
Man. Well, with my current build right now, if I had a Legacy Combs and did a few gear tweaks, I could get up to 15,000 HP. And if I use the Eye of Cheula upgraded version, that gives you 20% of your HP as energy shield. That's like a free 3,500. Or wait, math. Yeah, like free 3,000. Sorry, energy shield. So you'd have 18,000 effective health, 15k life, and 3k ES with just those two items.
Damn.
I think it's pretty cool that item quantity is back.
Yes.
Like I was really against Magic Find. It was kind of funny. Me and Polab, we were like bickering back and forth a bit about him saying that Magic Find was worth it, and I was saying no, it's not. But then somebody made a really, really good point to me, and then now I agree with Polab. So there was we had Vok and Findle on for last week's episode, and they had talked about magic finding in breaches, and there's a lot of sense that is made in this next sentence. Magic find gear in breaches makes a lot of sense. Normally, you clear maps as fast as possible, and that's your quantity because you just go as fast as you can. Breaches have a set opening limit; they can only open so fast. They are literally controlled by how fast the map can open. So you can stand at the edge all you want, but you're not going to go any faster. So now, quantity gear and magic find gear in breaches makes a hell of a ton of sense, especially since they have it.
Doesn't trump it now.
Yeah, clear speed means nothing in there.
Because clear speed
very
is
interesting.
Well, usually better than magic finding in a map.
Yep.
But not a breach.
I'd
That's
say
awesome.
By the way, the one relic that I really think is like amazing is the Legacy Victors. I think having access to that is pretty insane in a temp league. So that would be my choice.
Everyone was like, "No, they'd never do that." And
including myself. I
it.
was asked a lot. They're like, "Yeah, do you think Legacy Victors?" I'm like, "No, there's no way."
Eternal
Sure enough,
orbs
I'm like,
too,
"Oh."
right?
Yeah, that's another big
Eternal
one. So if
Orb's
you
a
take standard
huge
seriously, Eternal Orb should be like your number one thing to get in the temp league. I know Findel is probably focusing on that a lot. In the last podcast, he mentioned it. Really smart to do so. So if you care about standard and you're playing this league right now, try to get Eternal Orbs because they're like 40 or 50x in standard right now. So you can make a lot of money if you get your hands on them in the temp league and bring them over.
How much pressure do you think it's going to put on the Eternal market?
I think that because there's always going to be a demand for them, so I don't think it's going to put too much pressure. I think that it's going to remain the same. I think they're going to be around the same price, and yeah, it's not going to change it too much.
Do you think that there's a bunch coming out now that someone's going to be like, maybe I can get them for cheaper? Let's craft the blah, 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 blah now.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm in Scalpo's the guy who made Brew Twine. I'm in his guild with Rayman and all those crafters, and I know for a fact that they love Eternal Orbs. So if they can get their hands on them, they're going to. So the demand is always going to be there. So yeah, I think it's a very, very smart thing to get Eternal Orbs if you can, and if you care about standard or permanent hardcore.
So I'm looking at Eternals right now, and they're like 30 to 40. You said they were like 60?
No, like 40 to 50. Oh, they were 50 when Legacy Hardcore started, or Legacy League started, so they might have went down a little bit. I'm not completely up on the standard prices since I've been playing the temp league, but
Gotcha.
and the thing is very hard to get. So like, there's only a couple people who sell them, and it's So
have you guys ever found one?
Nope.
Never.
I found one, and it was Act 3 Merc, City of Sarn. It dropped like the first group of mobs. But it was back when they were going for 4 Exalt each.
I remember that.
Aren't they technically, they're more rare than an Exalt, right?
Oh,
Back in the day? Yeah.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, I've never found one, never used one. I've watched people use them in YouTube videos. I know they existed at one point. I guess they still do. I know people that have them, like a lot of them. That's cool.
I was back when fizz bows were like the meta. I was trying to craft like an OPOP fizz bow, and I used like 6 Eternal Orbs, and I just ripped them all. It just sucked. Oof. It was painful. Yeah, it was pretty brutal.
Now, do you guys have any plans to collect them? Are you guys any collectors? We're talking about relics again. Like some people like to collect like one of every every relic or one of every kind of something? Do you guys want any plans to collect all the shinies?
No.
No,
And I play standard. I take it seriously, and I don't have an interest.
Really?
no.
And standard?
The only one that interests me right now is, well, besides Combs, which apparently drops once a week, is Soul Strike. So I think the old Soul Strike was so overpowered. Like I'm contemplating after I hit 100 on my explosive arrow character, I might roll like a 30k ES build with like Soul Strike or something, just for fun, right?
Yeah, why not?
Go
Yeah.
Blind Ice Glare, go Poison, stack a whole bunch of energy shield. There you go, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this should be interesting.
Yeah.
What about you, Polab? You plan to collect any shinies?
You know, I was kind of thinking about it because, well, I mean, you kind of know Paleo. Maybe nobody else knows, but everything I do in standard is just a collection. I have like a collection of like just everything that I could just have one of. So I'm gonna try, but there's so many that are really expensive. I don't think I'm gonna really acquire all of them. You know, because I mean, I'm not gonna get a Combs. You know what I'm saying?
Unless you find one. Or if you gamble keys and try to get one. That's not a trap at all.
Recap did 40, okay? He did 40 something and
He got
got
nothing.
shit on
Yeah.
all of them. I think he got one decent one and sold something for like 30 chaos or something.
Yeah, I think Ziz did like 110. He said, and
Wow.
he was lucky. He got the.
You got a
Legacy
Combs. Fine.
Yeah, no. I think he was saying he spent about like 3,000 to 3,500 chaos on them, and he got about I think like 14 or 1,500 chaos back from the legacy reach. But besides that, it was just all wasted.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a trap, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Do you think that's good or bad? That they're not a good thing to do.
I think it's not very good. I mean, my opinion is that you made them so rare, so hard to get, and then you're gonna, you chance
Flood them
your
with
luck,
garbage.
and you're gonna get like a lame kind of like reward for it, and you're just like, oh, and that's like the main kind of core of the Temple League. It's these keys and the chance of getting a relic and awesome stuff, and you never get it. So you're just kind of like, oh, all right,
Oh,
well.
yay, another Mega Nord.
yeah.
Makes it
I
all
think
that
it would
fun.
be good if they increased the drop rate because it feels like they've reduced the drop rate in the last week or so. Just from-
Exactly. Yeah.
I haven't found it in a while, yeah. I got mine, like I said, from lab, and I kind of stopped farming lab. I got burnt out a little bit. Kind of actually leads us into our next topic. What if we do we have anything else about relics?
Not really.
You guys said
I mean, have
you
you
both
bought
found
anything?
two reliquary keys. Paul, have you found any?
No, I just
Any
found one.
keys? Just one?
Just one.
So I
that's
found
it.
6. I found more than all of 3 of you combined. Feels bad. I guess feels good for me.
Um,
Feels bad for you guys.
But I was gonna ask, have y'all bought any or anything? Has
No.
anybody bought a
No.
relic?
No.
Oh, I did
No,
buy
I-
one. I bought one. It was cheap. It
No,
was shit.
in hindsight, I wish I would have sold the two. That
Yeah,
I had.
I sold mine. I was just like, you know what? I'm not risking this. No way.
Oh,
I need the money.
But what if you would have gotten an Eternal Orb?
It's never gonna happen.
What if you would have got a Legacy Vingtars?
I'm with Moasie on this one, man. Risk versus reward. I'd rather minimize the risk.
Right.
But I get asked a lot, like, how do you stay rich? Like in standard, I have a lot of money. They're like, how do you stay rich and how do you get your money? I'm like, I'm very cautious with my currency. If I don't craft. So, anyways, I would rather have the guaranteed money and taking the risk. So
Yeah?
I sell them.
Yeah.
The new phrase is going to be use key or no balls.
Yeah. Please no. Please don't
Oh,
start
God.
that.
Run key or no balls.
Yeah.
Our last topic before we get into community questions is going to be avoiding burnout.
Oh, the burnout, man.
Do you
I
guys get
use-
burnt out of the league?
Well, I was going to tell you what I do to help me prevent from burning out on the league real quick. Because I think it's really
Sure.
important. Everybody should try this. Where to go? You need hand grips and hand cream, and y'all are good to go.
Was that a cup? Or was that actual
Yes.
hand cream?
It was a cup of hand cream, bro.
Oh, okay.
That's
Oh,
all you need.
It was a joke from last week's episode, in case you guys are wondering.
With Findel. I
Yeah.
just you mentioned that. Yeah.
Check
yeah,
it out.
yeah.
It's on the YouTube channel. Action Place Point, follow me. All right, so Moasie, do you get burnt out of the league Any leagues?
Yeah, well, I got burnt out last league, to be honest. Well, I mean, some people, well, actually, probably quite a few people don't know who I am because I've kind of been sporadic in my streaming. So I
Terrible for
streamed a lot
streamers.
last summer when I had time off.
Yeah.
And then I started a new job, as I mentioned, 6 months ago. And then I streamed almost none. And then last league, I started streaming again at the beginning of the league, but then I had some really bad deaths that just were so demoralizing that I just decided to focus more on work and play a little bit less and save up, I guess, that energy for the next league, which was this one. So I've been streaming quite a bit of this league, pretty much every day, if not every other day. And I'm going pretty hard, but the key difference is in hardcore. I find as a semi-casual player, casual 100, if you do die in hardcore when you've invested so much in your character, that is pretty demoralizing. So unless you're a full-time streamer and you can hop right back on after a big death, that does make you get burnt out a bit. So I get motivation from getting to the next level, the next tier, and when that gets thrown away, my motivation gets thrown away as well. So that could be a reason I do such defensive builds, is because I'd rather take it slow and steady and take less chance and get to the end goal eventually, as opposed to trying to push and get there as quickly as I can.
Now, what are you doing right now to get there, to the 100? You're just doing strands. I saw you were doing the other day.
Yeah, so right now I'm doing a combination of things. So I'm doing the shaped strand and the shaped shore, I guess, strategy. But I've also been kind of mixing it up too, just because it does get monotonous after a while. So I've been doing some scriptoriums too. So another money-making tip is on hardcore right now, opal rings a day or two ago at least, I think they were 60 chaos per opal ring. So that's 3 exalt per white ring that drops. So something I was doing was I was getting, talking about league stones, I was getting the league stone with Keepers of the Trove, and Scriptorium can drop both opal rings and crystal belts. So if you hit the jackpot and you got Keepers of the Trove with either of those two, then you've just made yourself a tidy profit.
Nice.
So that's what I've been doing to kind of switch things up. So whenever I get bored, of doing the grind. I mean, you work a full day at work, and then you come home, stream for a few hours, do a bit of a grind. If it gets tedious, then you just have to switch it up. Same with anything.
Yeah, so basically to touch on that, I fully agree with you, Moasie, that if you invest all of your currency and all of your time to a hardcore character and then you die to something, like, it really is demoralizing. Like, especially if it wasn't your fault, if it was like a technical issue, that's even worse. I definitely can relate with you on that, man. That's pretty brutal. But how I avoid burnout is set goals. So I stream PoE as my main game. It's all I play, basically. Overwatch here and there, but anyways, I set a different goal. Like, I want to hit 100 this league, and if I'm starting to get bored with that, I'll be like, all right, let's make some money. Let's grind for some currency, or let's start farming at Ziri, and I'll farm at Ziri for a week, and then I'll go back to mapping. I always have to change up a specific goal so it doesn't get tedious and boring and doing the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I think that helps tremendously. So just set a personal goal that's attainable within like a week or so. And then once you meet that goal, you're like, okay, let's do another goal and another goal. It gives you like that level, like a plateau to reach, that goal to reach. And then when you reach it, you come up with something different. And that really kind of helps. You got to make your own kind of goals in PoE. They give you specific challenges to do in the league. And then once those are done, you got to make up your own little fun to do. And so that's how I avoid burnout. Other than that, I'd have like a side game, like I said, Overwatch. Like, I'll maybe play that for like a day or two, like stream that for a day or two, just to kind of give PoE like a break, just like a 1 or 2 day break, and then hop back on, and you feel a little bit refreshed. So that's the 2 best tips I can give: is set personal goals that are obtainable, and maybe have a side game to just bring up every now and again.
Yeah, you're speaking my language, Blasting Cap. In the project management world, we call them milestones. So
Yeah, exactly.
Here we go. So, but yeah, so set a milestone, and it keeps you kind of on track to your overarching goal. But you see progress incrementally, and you know kind of where you are and where you need to go.
Absolutely, it keeps you engaged. Is basically the whole point of that. So,
and I'd have to agree with you guys, because every league, the only goal I set, hey, 36 achievements, I'm not going to go for 40. I'm just going to casually make it. And then my other goal is try not to play a meta build, because if you just play a meta build, you just fly through everything, and it's just not really challenging, in my opinion.
It's very rewarding to make your own build. You maybe do your meta build to get your currency enough to make your own kind of quote-unquote fun build. And that's what I love doing in Standard when the templates start to die out. I'll hop over to Standard, do like a crazy dumb build that might work or might not work, you know? But it's fun to kind of just, you know, because that's what PoE's about, customization. And if you're doing a tried and true meta build, you know it's going to work. But, you know, dabble with something new. You know, so anyways, I find that pretty fun.
Yep. Yeah, and it's different for everyone too. So you have to know what works for you. Like a lot of people, they avoid burnout by doing things like making alts. So they have different characters. They kind of switch things up, so they're not doing the same old every single time they play Path of Exile. But for other people like myself, it's all about min maxing. So if I get bored of just doing the grind nonstop, then I'll take a break and see where I can improve my character. So yeah, it's you kind of have to set your own milestones and goals and kind of know yourself a bit to see what you can do to avoid burnout for yourself.
Yeah, so
Very well put.
last league I got burnt out pretty bad.
This
Breach
league
was
is gonna be
Breach
worse.
was really I think maybe we'll see. Last league was the first league that I had switched to softcore from being hardcore. Oh no, I did Essence. Wait, did I do Essence to softcore? No, I did hardcore. Anyways, I did play 4 leagues hardcore, then I just switched to softcore. And I can tell you that when I played hardcore, all 4 leagues I played to the end. All the way to the end. Every time I've played softcore so far, I've been burnt out probably within the first month and a half to 2 months. And the last month has been a stretch to even want to play. So yeah, even setting goals, the unfortunate thing with softcore is you can get to those goals pretty damn quick. Like I had set goals before I even started this league. I'm like, I want to get this favor. I want to get my character fully geared, and like I want to stomp all the content. I already done that. In like first week. My character's level 94. I've killed all the bosses. I've done all the content. Farmed lab over 100 times. I'm not burnt out, not yet. I'm a little burnt out of lab. I mean, I've done, like I said, over 100 labs, so you guys can understand that.
Well, you can join the like 300 plus lab club then.
Well, I'll probably be over 300 by the end of the league, because I mean, like we mentioned before, it's so profitable. Like you can just continue to make money off of it. It's a nice, easy source of income, and that was kind of like our goal. Our group's goal was, I would farm lab, make currency. We had a boss farmer, we had a mapper, and then we had 2 people that were filling in for different roles. And when you have somebody that can bring in consistent currency from lab, we can take risks. So what we were doing is we were buying Kyula shards, and we started running Kyula breaches. And I remember I ran my first Kyula breach of the league, and I mean it was like day 3 or 4, and it's scary because if you don't complete that breach, I mean you're out. Like at that time it was like 100 chaos, and that's like at that time it was like 3 or 4x. So it was risky, you know. But I mean, I was like shaking the whole time, but it was like easy. Like I don't know why I was so worried, but I'm like I don't want to lose this for the group, you know. So I'm like stomping everything, and I had like 35 seconds. It wasn't hard, but by the end of it, I was like, big sigh of relief, and it was good. And that was another thing on hardcore. You get that a lot in softcore. Very rare, very rare. I do miss those feelings. So I was thinking maybe this league, another tip for maybe preventing burnout for myself even. I'll play softcore until I'm burnt out, and then I'll maybe switch to hardcore. Maybe not even at that point. Hardcore is going to be completely dead as far as economy goes and trading. So maybe do hardcore solo self-found. I've never really been big into solo self-found. What do you guys think?
I tried it
Moasie?
once, didn't like it.
Not for me, man. Not for me.
Yeah.
I thought it would be fun, and I think I got up to level like 63 or 64, and then I was just like, you know what? I think I'm done. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
A lot of people have been saying that.
It's a little weird though, because when in the beginning of this league, I did no trading. Normally, like as I would level up, I would like buy certain pieces of gear to make the leveling process easy. But this league, we had somebody doing trading for us. And I have to tell you, holy crap, it's such a relief to not trade until you hit like level 78. I didn't touch a trade at all until level 78. Oh my god, it was so peaceful. It just felt great. Unfortunately.
yeah, it. I think For me, like the big one of the appeals to the game for me is the theory crafting and the min maxing and having access to all of the OP kind of gear and just the player interaction and talking with people and even creating parties. Like I have fun playing with people from my stream. So people in chat, I'll just invite in game and we'll do a leveling party, or we'll do maps together, and I just enjoy that aspect of the game too much. And yeah, SSF just I'm not quite hardcore enough for that, I guess.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of having the game tell me what build I'm supposed to play. You know what I mean? Like,
You're not limited at all, buddy.
What do you mean?
You have to play.
You don't have to do anything.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
So when I get like when I get a specific,
You can play whatever you want to play.
Yeah.
It just might take a while to get there.
True. Yeah, but no, I sold self out. I tried it for a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be so cool." And then I was like, "All right, it's okay." And then by like level 50, I'm like, "All right, I think we're gonna opt out now." So,
What I thought would be really cool is if they like doubled or tripled the currency drop rate, but made it a what is it, a ghosted league or a void league? Yeah, because I love the concept of like crafting. The crafting's fun. I love it. But I mean, I have enough currency now to do as much crafting as I want, so that's actually kind of cool. But it'd be really, really cool as solo self-found to just craft all of your gear from the ground up and just have enough currency to just continue to craft and just like be able to mold your character. And obviously, you'd have to avoid it if you're like controlling drop rates, but just make currency so abundant that you could just start exalting things. Just it's fairly decent. Throw an exalt on it. Just kind of like give you that freedom.
How do you guarantee prophecies?
I know how to do that to you guys too.
Yeah. I mean, it's like anything. You just spam them and increase your odds of getting the good ones as much as you can. So there's value in numbers. So it just takes time.
I think his question is more along the lines of how do you guarantee a prophecy to proc?
Oh, I see. So yeah, I mean it's random, to be honest. One thing I will say is if you try to proc a prophecy in a map, and it does not proc in that map, then it will never proc in that map. I do believe you're able to reseal the prophecy and then relearn it for a chance for it to proc in that map going forward.
Yep.
But if you just keep it as is and say you're trying to, back in the day, people would try to get the Fortune Tellers collection to proc in, what's it called, with the doctor card.
And Springs?
Springs, yeah, thank you. So people would be they would get that prophecy and then they would just spam Springs, and then after spamming 30 Springs, they're like, it's not proccing, I don't know why. So so that's one tip, I guess.
So there's actually a really cool tip. You can force a prophecy to proc, and if it doesn't proc, like he was mentioning, say you roll a map. Very, very good. Huge pack size. It has everything you want, and you're looking for a specific prophecy. Say you're trying to do the exiles thing that we were talking about earlier. So you have like a map that has extra exiles on it. You have a prophecy that spawns more exiles on that map. You've got sextants that gives you just combine all the league stones, everything. What you can do is you can throw the map in there. You can open up your prophecy window, hit activate, and when you look at your prophecy, if the prophecy doesn't go away within like the first second or two, like don't give it a lot of time. You want to do it before the map would activate. So there's a slight delay, like roughly a 3-second delay of when the map actually opens. Sometimes longer, depending on how much is on the map. So you throw it in there, hit activate, and if the prophecy doesn't go away right away, take the map out, put it in your inventory, reseal the prophecy. Right-click the prophecy again, consume the seal, and then that will give you another chance. If it doesn't proc again, you do the same process. You can repeat that. It will guarantee that you proc that prophecy on that map that you want every time. That is a way to 100% force it. Now, it does cost silver coins, but as we already established, they're fairly cheap.
So basically, the moral of the story is pick up the silver coins when you see them.
Now, the thing
Don't
is
leave them on the ground.
it sounds like an exploit, but I don't know if it is, because this has been around for like a league and a half, and this was public knowledge. Like Norse did a video on this. This was on the forums. GGG said nothing about it. I don't think there's a bug on the forums. I would probably check the bug forums maybe. But as far as like whether or not it's exploiting anything, I don't know. But it's not it's nothing that I've seen anything that they say it is an exploit and don't use it. I would probably check the bug forums just in case, but it's a weird way to have a game work. But if they want that, I mean, there's a lot of weird things GGG does. So if they allow that, it's okay. Like the Flask macro's not allowed, but you can use a macro to log out instantly, sending a disconnect packet. I don't understand, but whatever.
So how do you think they'll handle the resistances ramp up in 3.0 versus Merc and Cruel?
Yeah, Moasie, we'll start with you. What do you think they're gonna do?
Chris already mentioned what they were going to do. I think he had mentioned that at certain points in the story, there's going to be a world event that happens that's going to cause you to lose resistance.
Yeah, I remember reading that. Yep.
Can't wait. I can't wait.
Nerf all the res. I am excited a little bit, but it almost the way they're describing 3.0, I almost feel like they're going MMO, right?
Yeah.
Like world events and questings, and there's only one playthrough, and are we playing World of Warcraft now? What the fuck's going on? I'm not saying I hate it, because I love World of Warcraft. I used to play it a lot, many years spent. But there's a really, really good question. All right, Moasie and Blasting Cap. Who did it first?
Blasting.
Moasie did.
Fair enough.
Dicey did.
We all know the answer is Moors, but I mean,
Yeah.
All right, so
common knowledge.
Always more.
What's the second part of that question? What are some good ways you like to farm currency in the middle / end of the league?
Uber Lab.
Yep.
Really, it's the best answer you can give. It's Uber Lab.
It is.
Because can I explain why real quick?
Sure.
The reason being is because not a lot of people like running lab in hardcore because it's rippy, software because it's kind of it's kind of boring. Some people don't like running lab, some people do. It's just personal preference. But a lot of those people want the specific helm enchant for their build, but they're just too lazy to run it themselves. So they're going to pay a premium for that helm enchant. So you being the business exile that you are, you're gonna be like, all right, let me run these labs for you, but I'm gonna charge you a premium, and they'll be glad to pay that because they're lazy and they got the money to afford it. So you make a lot of money in the process. It doesn't matter what time of the league. So that's why it's always gonna be profitable.
Also, price to entry is very low, and it stays low the entire time.
Yeah, and you always make money. You never lose money. Even if you get a crap helm enchant, you always will make money off the chest. So that's why you could get death stores even if you're lucky. You always will get your money back from the chests. Always.
You know, funny thing about death doors, I've only ever gotten them from the end, the treasure chest at the end. I've never gotten them from Intricate Locker, ever.
Wow.
And I've gotten 2 from the end game this league, from the end chests. It's like the opposite of what's supposed to happen, but whatever.
Yeah, I was just going to say, isn't that kind
Fuck it, I don't care, whatever.
Hey, man, I'll take them. Yeah, really.
And then Moors, there was like I guess it's more of a or Moasie, not Moors, sorry.
I'm like, what?
I'm like, wait, what?
Moors
Moasie.
do it first.
So, how do you feel about project managers in a highly technical field that aren't tech people? I have felt a lot of hostility from many of our engineers towards project managers because they feel that they don't know what they're doing.
Oh, good. A PoE question.
Yeah, I figured it was because you had talked about your project management field in the beginning. I figured it was okay to ask this one.
It's a fair question. So, I mean, a lot of my friends still don't know what I do as a project manager. I tell them I'm a PM, and they're like, "So, what do you do?" And the easiest way to explain it to them is I manage people, I plan out projects, I communicate to the entire project team and any stakeholders that are as part of the project. We call it, we usually use what's called a RACI chart to do that. And then you also obviously manage the triple constraint of schedule, scope, and budget. So in terms of getting pushback from team members, the most important thing is to, in my opinion, is to build the relationship with everyone on the team and get buy-in from them. So when you're putting together the schedule for a project, you need to consult and make sure that what you're putting pen to paper makes sense. If you're a technical PM, you need to rely on your technical team members.
Sorry. I never changed the title from starting soon to actually started. Rip.
That was very well put, Moasie.
Yeah. Actually, it's cool because I work in a similar field that he's in, and I know PMs, and I actually work with PMs. I'm not an engineer, but I am a support for the engineers. And I'm kind of like, think of it like a junior engineer, I guess, kind of like an advanced resolution team of sorts. And the another answer that he might agree with, I'm hoping maybe, that I've talked with other project managements is it's not their job to know what the engineers know. It's not their job to know anything about what they're doing. Their job is to manage the project and keep it flowing. They don't really need to know the in-depth details of everything. They need to know the basics. They need to know what they need to do to get that project flowing and running well. But it's not the project manager's job. Isn't supposed to know the engineer's job. The engineer's supposed to know his job, and the project manager is designed to help the engineer do his job in whatever way possible. Right? Would you say?
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. But I mean, that being said, if the PM misses something because they're not technical, it's up to them to find out what that is from the technical resources
Right.
and get that.
Yep. Yeah.
Those
Yep.
issues don't come up.
All right, we'll do like 2 more questions because I think we are. I need to add a timer to this template so we can keep track because I have no idea what time we're at. And I told them.
So,
So go ahead. Did you have a
with
question?
the 3.0 coming out and the talk about majority or major and about majorly changing certain aspects of the game, what kind of new pace to the game would you like to see in terms of clear speed and power creep in the upcoming set of patches? Something like a return to 1.2 Nemesis or a hybrid of 1.3 and 2.0, or would you like to see no real change at all?
So I'll touch on this first. I've been playing this game since Open the Anarchy League, so way back, 4 years now, and I've experienced all of the speeds, like the slow clear speeds, and then now we're up into this mega clear speed meta that we're in right now. I don't think GGG can kind of rein that back too much without a lot of people rioting. We've gotten a taste of this super power creep that we can achieve, this fast clear speeds of shape strands over and over and over. I don't think they can kind of rein that back in without people going, hey, this sucks. You know what I mean? I think they've introduced too much power to kind of rein that back and nerf the clear speed a little bit. I think they could probably get away with a little bit, but not too much. So even though I'd like to kind of see a slower clear speed and more emphasis on, loot picking up and instead of just grinding XP super quick, I don't think they can get away with that. But I would like to see that anyways.
Yeah, I myself personally, I kind of miss the old days on like when you're running ledge, when you're leveling up, or even like end game where you don't kill stuff as quick. You kind of whittle things down, and maybe it's because I'm the same as blasting. I've played since closed beta, and back then, like even a mob of white skeletons, like it would take you like 4 or 5 like hits to clear that pack, and then you'd move on, right? And there was something satisfying about that because especially when you went as a crit build, you could see like the health kind of like chunk down as opposed to no matter what build you're doing. Like right now I'm doing explosive arrow and I shoot once into a group of mobs and they just fall over, right? And I have like no damage nodes whatsoever. So I'd like it to be back to the point where you have to kind of pick between life and damage, right? Like either you go glass cannon and you take the risk associated with it, or you go tanky and you're slow and steady, right? But right now you get both, and I think that's a little bit too much power creep.
I agree. I really agree. I enjoyed the slower pace a little bit, not like super slow. I'm not talking like the Great One rip. I know the Great One trade macro rip. If you actually rewatch that, if you watch its clear speed, it was pretty abysmal. I'm not talking that slow all the way back then, but something in between that what we have now and back then, and I mean, I think that's what the game kind of needs, because a lot of people fell in love with this game because it was hard. It was really difficult. It was that niche RPG. It wasn't the D3. It was like, yo, this game doesn't hold your hand. It's difficult. You need to know your crap, and you're gonna die a lot. I don't think. I think we've moved past that now, and I think Chris has even said that's kind of the way he wants it a little bit, where you have you have challenging content for the veterans, but the casual players can sit and watch Netflix on the other screen. I think he used like Netflix or something.
Yeah, people criticized him for that a bit.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like I think Chris is happy with where it's at right now, and I don't really. Yeah.
Man, I think
Yeah,
we need to make
go ahead.
shirt and call it. Maybe you guys can get on this PoE Lab custom shirt. Netflix and Poe.
Netflix and Poe. Oh God. You want to watch movies together and have like anybody that watches either one of our streams can join with us, and we'll call it Netflix and Poe.
Yeah,
we can just sit there. We just go on Google
because you told me to.
Just go on Google Hangouts and just hang out with people.
You know what?
But
It could be an idea for a stream where you have like a movie up in the left-hand corner of like what
I
you're
was wondering
watching.
about that, how copyright handles that, like movies playing. Like, I have no idea.
You're
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
played back. I think I started in like around Torment, or Bloodlines, around that league, and I don't know the slow Nemesis. I guess if Domination and Nemesis were slower than, than Torment or whatnot. So I don't really know that slow, but I definitely can tell that it is getting faster and faster and faster. And when you have builds that are like the shield charge discharge builds that we're able to like clear strands in like 15 seconds, and I think that's retarded. I think that's really, really retarded. So I'm glad they nerfed AoE, but I still think that you can do Vol Fireball and just do the same thing. It seems like every time they nerf one thing, they buff another, and then that becomes the meta clear speed build. Even Vol Spark's still good to do the same thing with. You can just get a shit ton of attack speed, go Inquisitor, Vol Spark, and you can clear maps in 30 seconds. I would prefer to double that, probably. Personally.
Cool.
But yeah, I like it, but volatiles.
All right. So last question, Paleo. You got it.
Yeah. Last question. I'm curious to one of the questions. I'm gonna try to reword it a little bit because it's a bit specific. Do you like it when people, streamers such as yourselves or ourselves, do builds that are considered bad but then make them good? And then on top of that, do you think the power creep and the meta enforce GGG to buff those skills or make items around those skills because the majority of people are playing them? So we'll say like Ellie Hit and Split Arrow, and we'll say builds that like people are like, those are bad, like never play those, they're bad. And then you have like a streamer like Mathel comes out with like an Ellie Hit build that can like destroy all the content. All of a sudden Ellie Hit's better now, but it's never been bad, it's just not as good as the meta. And do you think that influences GGG's focus on the meta skills or anything like that?
I mean, maybe. Like if they have people in the office watching, like someone like a Mathel playing an Ellie hit build, then they may be like, oh, hey guys, it might be time that we kind of give this more attention because more of the community is kind of aware of it and stuff now. But I don't think it really affects it that much, to be honest. That being said, like Split Arrow, like case in point, like it's honestly one of my favorite skills in the entire game. Playing
Really?
crit, oh yeah, playing crit Split Arrow Magic Find was one of my builds I did last league, and all I did was spam Acton's Nightmare over and over again. With that. And well, mostly A for the music and B for the fat loots. So
Or the music.
I wish they
But
had more things like that, like maps that had
Oh, yeah.
specific sounds. Like I thought that when somebody told me, they're like, turn the in-game sound on when I was doing that map. I'm like, oh wow, this is like the only map that I know that does that. I thought that was pretty
yeah,
cool.
so I guess
Or
just
one of the only ones.
to recap, I mean, like anytime someone who has like thousands of people watching them does a build, it is going to bring more exposure to that build, and chances are that I'll get back to someone at GGG. So it may come up in a conversation there that it may otherwise not have. But I don't think that it has a big impact on whether or not something gets changed. No.
What about you, Blasting?
I basically agree with Moasie said. I don't really have much more to add to that because I think he's right. I think it's not going to make a massive difference. But the thing is, like, it kind of highlights that. I like it because it highlights the fact that just because you're not doing a meta skill, let's say like Blade Flurry, doesn't make something like Cleave bad. It might be a little bit slower, but you can still use Cleave and do all content and still be okay. You know what I mean? It kind of just it shows to the casual player, say like Mathel's seen doing like Ellie Hit, and they're like, "Wow, I never knew Ellie Hit was actually good." Oh, well, it's not, but we're just using it hypothetically. But you know, like it gives the casual player be like, "Hey, I could probably use this instead of this meta skill," and they're going to be able to play the game a little bit longer and enjoy it a little bit more. So, I think it's okay, and I don't think it has much of a change to the actual balancing and stuff like that. I think it's actually quite good.
You know, Ellie Hit is actually really, really good in Path of Paper.
No, I thought you were gonna say in Path of Exile. I'm like, dude.
No, Path.
Okay,
Have you
so
guys looked into
Paper.
that? That's kind of like not even a real question at the that anybody's asked. But have you guys looked into Path of Paper? Are you guys RPGs at all? Role playing? Do you guys do any role
That a
playing?
thing?
Path of
Yeah,
Paper is really
yeah.
good. Angry AA has pretty much made Path of Paper. He's like made a Dungeons and Dragons version of Path of Exile.
Yeah, I've watched both of them, and I find it very entertaining. I've
It's
never
very
played
good. I
D&D
like it.
myself, but I've watched like real life friends play, like just kind of stopping in and watching for an hour type thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I also I've never played it myself, but I enjoy watching. Have you guys ever seen the Penny Arcade D&D that they do every now and then at PAX?
Oh, they do like
It's
the one-shot adventures, a couple hour. It's like a couple hours long. Is that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Those are actually pretty entertaining, even for someone who doesn't play D&D. Like they make it so anyone can understand. So yeah, check that out.
What about you, Blasting? You do any role playing?
No.
No.
I never played any of those. I tried to watch it, and it was entertaining. It was actually fun to watch, but for me to actually play, I don't think I could get into that, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. It's been almost 2 hours, so I don't want to keep you guys any longer. Our podcasts keep getting longer and longer, and it's unfortunate because we're like, we gotta keep it an hour for the main topics, 15 minutes for community questions, and then close it out. So I apologize if this went longer than you guys intended. I did tell you an hour, so I do apologize for that. But like I said, we are going to wrap it up. Make sure you guys check. This is going to be posted on my YouTube channel. You can do ! follow me. And also check out Moasie's stream. It's twitch.tv/Moasie. And also Blasting Cap stream. It's also twitch.tv/Blasting. Is it underscore cap or just cap?
Underscore cap. Yep.
Okay, so it's as it is the name as it's listed in the plaque down underneath his logo. And also, do you guys have YouTube channels that I can link in the videos as well? That if you guys do, I'll link that down below in the video description. And thanks for watching, and make sure to just subscribe to everybody's channel, all the channels, YouTube, Twitch. Subscribe to everyone. Poetalk.
Poetalk Discord community.
Thanks for
Discord.
coming. Thanks for
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, guys. That was